Hello everyone. I don't play lottery a lot, but when I do, I choose biotech companies because statistically your chances of winning are higher and you can actually base your choice on some evidence that the company you selected is promising or not. We'll go through 3 biotech companies in order of least speculative to the most speculative. Those are Alumis, Intensity Therapeutics, and Atyr Pharma. I believe I have to underline that clinical stage biotech startups are considered to be extremely risky investments. So let's start with Alumis, ticker symbol ALMS. What initially piqued my interest was unusual volume of insider buying. We see here that November and even in December they've been buying at prices close to previous all-time highs, and that made me curious enough to dig deeper into the stock. The main driver of the price action is that company recently has moved ahead their phase 3 readout for their new drug ESK-001. Usually, moving the phase 3 readout closer is a very bullish sign. The drug itself is a treatment to plague psoriasis, and it uses TYK2 inhibitor mechanism. It is a second generation TYK2 inhibitor, and it will be competing against existing drug of the same mechanism. The main improvement is that this drug is more exclusive in its effect on TYK2 inhibition, and that makes it safer to use in larger doses, which in its turn has effectively improved efficiency of the drug. We can see that at week 12, psoriasis area and severity index, and 100%, it means that the patient's skin is clear of psoriasis. And by week 16, they have reported that 35% of patients pass a score of 100, which is about 50% more than the current standard of care, and with clear safety profile even at the top dose. I believe that there is a very high chance that the phase 3 will also meet their primary endpoint, since it is also competing against placebo. The real risk is if ESK-001 would be able to show the same efficiency it did in phase 2 and become best-in-class drug, because just being a Me Too drug might be not enough to gain market share. However, if we follow a simple logic, having a higher dose of a TYK2 inhibitor, and it is achievable because the drug is more exclusive in its reaction with TYK2 inhibition, it is also very expected of the drug to perform well. It's just the question of how well. I believe that the price action is indicative of that optimism. Recently, the stock price has soared from $5 to $11.52 right now. Still, the market cap is just $1 billion, and I believe that there is still some room for upside on the phase 3 readouts. Or you can sell on the way up to it, as optimism would push the stock price higher. The second stock, and my personal favorite, is Intensity Therapeutics, ticker symbol INTS. Currently, they are at a small market cap of just $30 million, so you'd be buying very early and expect a lot of dilution. Also, the company has been pressured by Nasdaq to raise their stock price above $1 for 10 consecutive days. Recently, they have been granted 180-day extension to regain compliance, And on that news, stock soared 10%. Actually, until recently, this was the only biotech startup that I owned because the company's product is beyond promising. The company's research team has developed the only non-covalent injection treatment for cancer. To explain it on a very high level, unlike chemotherapy that targets the entire body of the patient, injections target only the solid tumors that they are injected into. What is so special about this company's delivery system? That it is the only non-covalent delivery system, which basically means that the molecule of the drug is not binded to the molecule of the delivery liquid, and this has two effects. First is that the effect of the drug is not dampened because of that binding, and second, they achieve a very high absorption with predictable pharmacological effect. Using that technology, they have created a drug that is called INTS 236 that consists of the delivery system and two long-established approved oncology drugs, vinblastine and cisplatin. That alone is very promising to me because company using drugs that are proven to work against cancer, all that they change is the delivery system, making it more targeted and less toxic for the patient. And all the preliminary results that they have so far are phenomenal. From their most recent results on the phase 2 triple negative breast cancer, they have reported that a pathological complete response has been observed in the first patient in cohort A, meaning that there were no cancerous cells observed after inspection. They have also reported that patients being treated with the drug continue to show significant necrosis after 2 doses. To that report, they have also attached 2 pictures of the scan before and after usage of the drug, and we can see that the bright spot, which is a tumor, just after 2 doses of the drug has been massively eroded. On the other trial that they have completed, they have shown that the population receiving only their drug for metastatic sarcoma, the median overall survival was 21 months, which is 3 times the standard of care. Very impressive. And that the pharmacokinetic results showed that the greater than 95% of active cytotoxic agents remained in the injected tumors, basically saying that the drug is much easier for patient to tolerate since most of the active components remain in the tumor. Another meaningful early win for this drug is that in 13 of 14 matched pair biopsy slides, they have shown increased activation of T cells. In other words, one of the effects of the drug, it activates immune system to fight the cancerous cells even outside of the injected tumor. Can't help but be optimistic about a company with such a great product. The main issue right now for the company is to find funding. They have paused onboarding for their current clinical trials and only treating the patients that they have already enrolled. As more preliminary data comes in, the company will attract new investors and resume their clinical trials. Also, the company announced that they will be making 2 presentations in the upcoming San Antonio Breast Cancer Symposium. It happens at 11th and 12th of December, so maybe they will share some information that could be a catalyst for stock price movement and attraction of new investors. The last company I'll be going through is Atyr Pharma. This is the most speculative of three because it's September. They have announced that the phase 3 trial missed its primary endpoint, and since then, stock plummeted 80%. Right now, market cap is just 80 million and is trading close to their cash balance. Following the announcement, the company stock was downgraded by everyone. Yet, I believe that there is still a chance that the Atyr Pharma will get an approval. My main argument that Atyr Pharma still can get an approval on their drug efzofitimod is that the design of the clinical trial was flawed. Primary endpoint was the reduction of the daily steroid usage, and treatment group reduced it to 2.79 milligrams per day, while placebo group reduced it to 3.52 milligrams a day, which put them at the p-value of 0.33. For those who don't know, the lower value here is welcome, and to be statistically significant improvement, we usually benchmark it around 0.05, so they have missed it by a lot. Also, we can see that the complete withdrawal was achieved by 52% for the treatment group and 40% for placebo group, which has a p-value of 0.09. But I believe that having steroid reduction as a primary endpoint without any context is very flawed, and my point is further supported by secondary endpoints, the main one being change from baseline in King Sarcoidosis Questionnaire lung score of 1036 for the treatment group against 619 for placebo at the p-value of 0.049. King Sarcoidosis Questionnaire is a standardized test that shows quality of life of the patient. It showed that the treatment group has meaningfully improved their quality of life, while the placebo group has not. Also, I want to highlight that efzofitimod was granted a status of orphan drug, meaning that it is a drug for a disease with no current treatment. Usually, FDA is more lenient toward orphan drugs. There were precedents when orphan drugs have also missed their primary endpoints, but if the safety profile was clear, as it is for Atyr Pharma, they've been granted approval. The second reason is that for entirety of 2025, they have announced collaboration with pharmaceutical company in Japan for development and production of their drug. Also, they have appointed a head of commercial, a very experienced Dahlia R. Reyes, who's guided through several product launches in another farm companies. If we don't go into conspiracy theories, I believe this is an indication that the company believes in the strengths of their product enough to start preparation for the next phase of their cycle. One more thing that I want to bring your attention to is that after the stock has plummeted, an independent director doubled his stake in the company and bought $900,000 worth of the stock. Usually I do not put too much emphasis to insider buying and selling. However, given unusual circumstances, this could be a meaningful input for your investment decision making. That is all for today. Thank you for your attention. Do your own research, get rich, like and subscribe. Have a nice day.